Welcome to Subtle Propaganda. I'm Drew, coming to you live from the supervolcano that will one day destroy us all. Joining me from the hammer attack capital of America is Three Circles Mike, who has no idea what a Venn diagram is. Completing our unholy trinity, the king of conciseness, the man with the iron jaw from Hell's Kitchen, Rob. We'll be talking about current events, politics, society, world news, video games, share some of our military stories, and discuss the general state of the Union. Join our superficial and trivial conversations about the stuff that really matters while obeying our own agenda. Are we charlatans? I don't know. You decide. Oh, and remember, like, subscribe, and share this podcast with your friends, and don't forget to tell us how wrong we were in the comments.
Yo, everybody, what's up? Welcome back to the show. We're happy to have everybody. So tonight we're going to be doing something a little bit different. We're going to try to start amending our structure of the podcast. So we're going to try to do a little bit of a faster podcast tonight. So we're only going to be streaming for about 1 hour. We're going to try to do a little bit more pointed topics weekly because 2 hours seemed like it was a bit much, especially on the editing side. And we've been looking into trying to do some more stuff like being able to, instead of talking about audio clips or videos that we've seen, trying to integrate those a little bit more into our process. So hopefully you guys like what we have in store. Tonight, we're going to kind of kick it off by talking a little bit about food constraints. So I don't know. I've kind of got this. I've got this real bad taste in my mouth about people who want, me to eat plant-based foods or especially bugs. And so there's been some interesting stuff floating around in the media lately, and this kind of bug eating acceptance and kind of like some very weird stuff that I'm not into. So I'm real excited to get into it. We're going to talk some shit about our most hated news anchor Tucker Carlson, who's a total schmuck. And we'll have a couple other things lined up today. Hopefully we'll be able to get into. But yeah, so dudes, I mean, check it out, man. I'm not into this plant-based stuff. I've had a couple plant-based burgers. They're okay. I mean, they're fine. I'm not like super into them, but it seems like this is kind of a big way that people want to take things, whether it be lab grown meat, plant based, bug burgers, or like bug protein. Basically, this all comes down to replacing protein, right? And trying to make it something that it isn't. So, what's your guys' take on it just before we kick it off and start into the videos or anything like that?
That's the world we live in now, man. They want us to get around either by electric bicycles or scooters, live in Connex boxes, and eat bugs. So that's where
You
we've
will
got.
own nothing and you will be happy about it.
Exactly. They're getting us ready for what's that movie Snowpiercer, where they just keep the poor people in the back and they just feed them like the gelatinous blocks of bugs. That's where we're going.
Dude, that
But
movie's actually really good. Actually, I
it,
really
it
like that movie a
it
lot.
is a really good movie, and there's a TV show called Snowpiercer that's actually like it sounds dull, like, oh, they turned it into a TV show, like what a money grab. It's actually really good. Would recommend.
I never
But
watched the TV show. I really did like the movie though.
you'd probably like the TV show
So I'll have
too.
to check it out. Yeah.
It's in just the quick synopsis. We just got sidetracked. Quick synopsis. It's like there's a murder that occurs in the train. It's a bunch of rich people. They're trying to figure out who did it, and they found out that there's only one dude who used to be like a cop or a detective on the train, and he's with the poor. And so they yank him out, and it's like murder mystery time. So it's good.
Or
It's a good time.
bastards.
Yeah.
Damn.
That's awesome.
But no, dude, I'm like you. I've had a few of the like Impossible Burgers of the Beyond Meat or whatever they're called. They're fine. They approximate what a burger or meat is supposed to taste like, but I will say they got the taste down. It's the texture that's fucking weird. Like it is
Yeah.
not right. It's like a weird thing. You just gotta like put it out of your mind or just get super drunk and not care.
Yeah, I haven't
What's
tried
your
one
take,
yet.
Mike?
I haven't tried any of them yet. I would assume it'd be like, a bison burger or a veggie burger type thing where it's like just got a weird texture to it, even if it does taste like similar. But I can totally like see the weird texture part. That's what I would assume that it would have at least would be a texture thing, because that'd be the hardest thing to replicate. Like, you can replicate flavors, you can replicate the nutrition, but replicating the texture is definitely a whole nother level. Maybe down the road they'll be able to do that with more time and research, but
Well, see, that's the thing is like I think you brought up a good point there that I kind of want to hammer is like I don't even know if you can replicate the nutrition. So like I don't know this stuff. Like I'm not an expert. I'm not a food expert. But like for instance, like I look at soy proteins as inferior to just consuming meat. And I'm not saying eat meat at every meal or be on a fad diet. I just think that you should have some level of meat in your diet. I've kind of I guess I am kind of a fad diet type of dude in the sense that like I've always subscribed to the idea that you evolve to eat kind of a varied diet with a little bit of meat and a lot of kind of forageable stuff, lots of forageable vegetables, maybe some small amount of berries, kind of more like a paleo diet. That just makes sense to me. I feel like that's how we evolved to eat. Unless you were, you know, an Aboriginal, you have Aboriginal ancestors who like, you know, basically were, you know, eating shitloads of shellfish all the time or something. It's like I don't really understand why you wouldn't want to vary your diet. And I just don't really get why you would want to get your protein from like soy protein concentrates, which just kind of strike me as not very good for you. And they do that because soy protein is gluten free. So it makes the burger kind of a well-rounded, anyone can eat this thing type of thing, you know?
Yeah, you're going down a danger. You're going down like a vegan favorite talking point. Because I bring this up all the time because this is just what I know from like, meat or like animal protein is the only thing that has a full amino acid profile to it. So
Right.
there are certain essential amino acids that our body needs in order to synthesize like essential proteins for us to function. And the only way to get it or get those in one meal, again from one source, is from eating animal meat. Now you can get a full amino profile from plants, but you have to eat a large variety of them. It's very, there's not one plant that has all of them. I got an argument with I never fact checked him, but I got an argument with a vegan over this. But apparently, like hemp has a full amino acid profile. I don't know about that. I don't know how practical that is. Like, I don't, how much of it do you have to eat? Like, how
Hemp
expensive
grows
is
like a
that?
weed. It grows like
Right,
a weed. We'll just eat
right.
as much hemp as we can.
Yeah, a telephone pole like sized like piece of hemp or something like that to get
Yeah.
your daily requirements or whatever. But
The telephone pole.
yeah,
That's pretty good.
but
Yeah, I
yeah,
mean, I don't know. I mean, I think like when it comes to that kind of stuff, it's like, how do you try to justify like, you know, I have this argument with vegans all the time where it's like, you know, the whole B12 thing. Like everybody who's ever watched an episode of Joe Rogan has probably seen that one where they literally deep dive B12 and argue about that for like 10 hours. It's like, why would you be on a diet where you have to supplement essential vitamins that literally you might get very sick and die if you don't have? Like that just doesn't sound like a good it doesn't sound like a good diet to me.
that's
Like
like
just
the
a
I
face
got
opposite of
value.
what a good diet is. A good diet is supposed to have you're supposed to eat everything and take no supplements. The supplements are the
Right.
worst way to get you nutrition. Like, that's like nutrition 101 is like, don't go to GNC and buy all your vitamins and nutrition. Like, get it from actual food, not from fucking supplements. So if you have to take a supplement because of your diet, then your diet probably sucks. Like,
yeah.
Right.
But don't worry, Rob. We got a solution for you. You just got to eat seaweed.
That's it.
yeah,
And so
Seaweed.
you've brought up one solution, right? Seaweed. So we might as well jump in and just run this video real quick. Mike, why don't you go ahead and cue it up? So basically, I'll give a little intro on it. I've been kind of disgusted with some of the stuff that I've seen lately. I've seen a lot of this endorsing of like eating bugs, you know, to get like as a protein source. So like lab grown meat, I feel like maybe we can have a conversation about that. I have like mixed opinions about lab grown meat, but this whole idea that we should be consuming bugs as a source of protein is just atrocious to me. And basically, we have our favorite news anchor here, Tucker Carlson, who is an ultimate cuck, who's just out here endorsing, you know, and trying to normalize the idea that Americans, the greatest country in the world, the richest country in the world, should be eating bugs. Very bizarre to me. But that instead of seaweed, we could just eat cicadas. Run the tape, Mike. Hit me.
Alrighty, here we go.
You guys getting any audio? I'm not getting any audio on this. Mike, crank it up.
Yeah, this sound's not going through for some reason.
Yeah, no sound.
All right, we're having some technical difficulties. That's not good. Um, we did have a good video lined up for you, but I guess I'd kind of give a narration for anybody who's listening who wants to watch the video. I'll drop the link in the chat right now. Um, you can go ahead and pull it up for yourself. Basically, Tucker, yeah, basically, yeah, subtitles for the win, right? They're coming through. Thanks, Poon. But yeah, basically, we'll have it in the full version of the episode uploaded. But go ahead and watch for yourself. But anyway, Tucker has this guy on, and there's this whole thing that you can eat cicadas, and you just have to listen to Tucker talk about this. It's very cringy, and it's very like they're like they're joking around about how like Tucker's like, man, the only reason why I really don't like this because Bill Gates endorses it. They, they make these really like cringy Fox News style jokes. But it's just kind of to highlight that basically these folks are normalizing in the media. Folks are normalizing just the eating of bugs, dude. I just find it really strange. And they're like financial markets are capitalizing on this trend. And you have like, if you go on Google right now, you could look it up. There are companies that are trying to be competitors to companies like Beyond Meat or Impossible Meats, and their model is built on bug protein. I mean, what is your guys' take on this? Like, I could go for lab grown meat. It's the same thing, right? I can go for lab grown humans. Let's build a super army of super soldiers fucking in the lab. Let's do it. But like, dude, lab grown, I mean, bug meat. You think that this is appropriate for like Americans to be eating this?
No, that's it's like how do we compete and then try to save as much money as possible? It reminds me of the video that you sent us a while ago in Africa, where like literally they eat like mud cookies and like this, what was it like literally like bug burgers and shit like that. It's like so they're like it's almost like they're taking that idea, or maybe you got that from what they were doing, but it's like how like
Right. And I
why
mean,
would you
well,
want to introduce that into our like the 21st like to a first world country? Seems like you're going backwards.
and that's the thing is like, exactly what you're talking about is like those people are extremely impoverished, right? And so like for the greatest country in the world, it's like for us to do our part in trying to like save the climate or something. Like, well, what's the benefit here? Is that what it is? Like we need to eliminate cows from, our diet because they have what? Some negligible amount of impact on the environment or something. And now we have to eat bugs. That's how we do our part to save the world. Like, what is the benefit? I don't even see the benefit. What do you guys have a take on it at all?
I mean, I just wonder what the cost would be to even start producing something like that on a grand scale, because like
Right.
what Tucker eats in the clip, it looks like some weird type of like baked good that's been,
With a cicada in
fortified.
it.
Yeah, fortified with a cicada in it, which, I mean, that, okay, it's just like, okay, why don't you just put whey protein and fucking, like, and then have you get your protein that way? So, like, I don't understand, like, why you have to resort to bugs. And,
The only thing I could think of is it's the whole gluten thing, or like it satisfies everyone's diets, right? Like, I think
mm,
like whey is traditionally made from milk products. So like if you're
mhm.
lactose, you can't have, excuse me, you can't have whey. If you're gluten, free or whatever the fuck that even means. I don't even know what that means. Like, oh, like if you eat bread, you just get diarrhea or something. Like, I don't understand. Like, anyway, we don't have to go into the whole gluten-free argument, but it's just like, I think that's what it is. It's this like they're basically making hardtack, the shit that like Texas
Yeah.
Rangers used to eat. They're making hardtack for all Americans. That's how I really view it, man. Like, I'm starting to really get into this and deep dive this. And we were talking in our pre-show before we went live about the fact that like food, some of the figures that I've seen, that I think are, potentially reasonable. We're approaching what 9 billion people on the planet right now. That's only going to go up by a very crazy amount by the time we hit around 2050. And some of the estimates that I've read said food needs are going to go up by 70% by 2050. And as we understand, like a lot of these things are not, on this podcast, we don't take the view that like we could save the world, that there are so many things that we could do to fix these problems. I don't think you can engineer your way out of this stuff. Water crisis, food crisis, these things are geographically dispersed in such a way that it can be virtually impossible to fix. I mean, one of the most fascinating things that I've seen in recent times was around 2019. I saw a tanker towing an iceberg from the South Pole to Africa for drinking water. That's an incredible
What?
feat of engineering, right? Like incredible. Yeah, Google it, dude. It's insane. But incredible feat of engineering, right? That's one way that you can maybe start to try to engineer yourself out of a problem. But how sustainable is that? Right? That's incredibly costly project. So I guess I'm just saying that like these people trying to push us into, and I shouldn't say these people, I don't want to sound too conspiratorial, but like this whole craze towards moving into a sustainable food environment is just not going to be realistic if you're going to try to tell first world people to eat bugs. It's fucking crazy.
Right. It goes against why human civilization even exists. I mean, the fundamental reason why we exist as a society is domestication of animals. The whole
Yeah,
reason why we're here.
exactly,
So, and
dude.
like
That's
half
why
the
cows
reason,
exist.
right,
That's
and
like why
half
they exist.
right, and you domesticate animals for two reasons. One, you make them a beast of burden so you can use them to lighten your load to help you work, or like it develops an agrarian society because now you can farm because you have beasts that reduce your burden. Also, they provide an essential food source for you that provides a full amino acid profile for you to get all the nutrition you would need in one meal if you're only going to have one meal for the day.
Yeah, no, 100%. Sure. Mike, you're muted. You're just moving your lips right now.
Oh,
I heard him.
No, yeah, we hear him. He had his mute on. Sorry, Mike.
yeah, that's my bad.
Oh,
I don't know if you
Yeah,
want to
my bad.
redo that thought.
Um, yeah, I'll like to summarize it. Yeah, we evolved eating meat because of the fact it is so has everything we need in one meal. We don't have to use the energy source to go harvest all the plants, and especially with like the geographical conditions, like you probably can't find all the plants you need in one area, so you have to subsidize it with meat, because otherwise you're fucked.
Well, I mean, dude, it is an essential part of who we are. I mean, dude, like I don't want to get too weird with it, but I mean like cooking around a fire, man, and just community, food, right? Like cooking food is is a huge part of who we are as human beings. This isn't like a first world, third world weird, conundrum that I'm bringing up here. This is just part of who we are, man. Cooking is is what we do. It's what we've always done. And like notice how like, like like food really hits you in the soul, right? That's why like Thanksgiving is a lot of people's favorite holidays, or like the favorite part of people's holidays if they meet on Easter or if they meet on Christmas is the part where they eat. It's a real source of community, and we don't fry up cicadas to get that. We just don't do it.
Right. I mean, it's the foundation of almost any familial like get together. Like anytime you do something with the
Exactly.
family, it's like we're gonna eat. You know, whether it be you go out or you cook for yourselves or whatever. Um, but like it, and like the memes of like the people in Africa eating mosquito burgers and things like that. Like that's a bigger commentary on like the real problems anyway, because like Africa is more like as far as like fertile soil goes, probably the most fertile soil place in the world. Like it's just a larger commentary of like how screwed over or how much that country or that continent has screwed itself over, um, and
Well,
how they've been exploited over the years. And it's just all this aid isn't fixing anything. But that's a completely different and larger topic on its own. But
yeah, I mean, I think when it comes to that kind of stuff, it definitely is kind of a more segmented conversation, and being able to actually, figure out like what it, yeah, and tax, and that's the thing is like that's what Westerners are like really big on is like taxonomizing, right? Like we go to a place and we figure out like what grows there and like what's important. Like Drew, you can name every fucking plant we walk by when we're doing stuff. That's a very Western thing. That's not something that like folks in the East do. It's not something that folks in some of these other countries do. They're just not interested in the taxonomy, culturally, historically, the way that we have been. And so sometimes you run into lots of problems. And we ran into the same problems when we first, when our ancestors immigrated here to the United States. With things like corn. Corn just rips nutrients out of the ground, and if you don't crop rotate, you just fucking ruin your soil, and you get things like the Dust Bowl. We've done this, like it's happened to us as well. It happens to everyone, right? Like that's it is a product of life, and it's one of those kind of sine waves where you have, what is it like? Good times create fucking weak men,
Yeah.
weak men create bad times, bad times create strong men create good times, right? Like it's one of those types of scenarios. And so, it is important that folks that live in a very fertile place know what they can grow there. But at the end of the day, I don't think that for us right now in the situation we're facing, the answer is eating bugs. Part of the reason why I bring this stuff up is because of that recent ransomware hack that we had on one of the largest meat producers in the United States. And we had a lot of meat constraints that happened during COVID where factories shut down. And, it made me really think that, like, when you really start to lose some of these sources of food, they are so few in the United States. Like, there are so few farms and there are so few, meat plants that actually produce our food. It is a very scary idea that these people will be able to capitalize on this. That's why I'm kind of bringing it up is that, I think that a lot of these bug folks are going to be saying like, hey, look, like when there's a meat constraint, like my protein is just as good and it can feed everybody. And next thing you know, you're going to be in line to eat a fucking bug burger, which is
Bro, that's gonna be
just
the new preppers.
weird to me.
The preppers are gonna start having like cicada farms on their little prepper ranches, where they're just gonna have a
Surprised they don't
bunch of
already.
bugs. They're just like
dude, there's
covered up for the apocalypse.
Well, Drew, I wanted to ask you this because you've done a lot of like very natural work, as a biologist. Like, what do you think the environmental consequences of eating bugs are? I mean, like, for instance, like my take is I read once that Bill Gates was trying to eliminate malaria in certain countries, and he had like or had worked with his foundation to design a laser system that would take out mosquitoes. Sounds real good, right? On face value, but I would imagine that that's going to wreak havoc on the local ecosystem. So, like, what I mean, cicadas seem pretty benign, right? They come every 17 years. We can just fucking kill them and eat them. They don't hurt anybody, whatever. But like, what do you think the impacts could be more broadly on the environment in general?
Well, something like cicadas, it's probably a little bit more complicated because the reason why you have like the 17-year cicada is it's almost a completely different sine wave, if you will, of the life cycle of birds. And so that's why cicadas take so long for them to mature and then come out of the ground, is because they are trying to avoid the point in time when birds are at their highest population so they won't get picked apart. So if you got rid of them, it would probably wreak havoc on something like the bird population. And then, what are the long-term consequences from doing that? Like, don't really know. I guess it would probably
Yeah.
be very situational. Also, like, depends on what type of bugs you're growing. Like, I mean, if you're growing locust, I mean, it's literally a plague. Like, like if there's an accident, like, I mean, there goes all the crops.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Because
it's like
I guess I asked because like I know you'd have to protect some species of bugs, right? Like, even if I'm entertaining this as like a devil's advocate, let's say I wanted to be a bug eating guy, right? Like you'd have to protect bees. We know bees pollinate all our flowers.
mhm.
I feel like you would have to protect mosquitoes, even though they're a vector for disease, because they support pretty much all of our amphibian populations, which then more broadly support fish populations, other animal. It's just like I don't really understand like what I guess would you just have bug farms? You just be like Dumb and Dumber? I want to open up a bug store. I'm gonna have a fucking ant farm and I'm just gonna eat them or something. Like I don't really see what you would be doing here besides farm raising bugs and then feeding them to people, which is kind
You
of
could
Right. And
literally
oh
trade like cows and chickens and like those farms for bug farms at that point because that would
right.
be a huge ecological like disaster in a way, and they would have to find new niches for these things because everything's like the bee, like you mentioned bees, like the bee genocide that's going on is a huge impact in the whole world. Like they're just dying, and we don't know why. Like we can't even figure out why they're dying off and just disappearing. So like imagine if you manufactured that into certain things, like even a mosquito. Like mosquitoes suck, but they still serve a purpose. That's why they're around. Otherwise, they wouldn't be around anymore. So it would I would say it would end up being like we would just commercialize it like we do with cows and farms and cows and chickens and all that stuff.
Yeah. I don't know, but I guess we beat a dead horse enough. Why don't we talk a little bit about lab grown meat and then
I
maybe
have
move to the next
some
topic?
interesting facts about cicadas if you want them real quick.
Let's hear it. Hit us.
So, do you guys
Have
think you
first
can
off,
get
have you guys
high?
ever seen them?
oh yeah, they're gross.
I haven't seen them.
Have you
No.
seen them, Mike? You've never seen them? Okay, I'm sorry. I was just curious. I've seen them out here when I was growing up. But anyway, sorry. Go ahead. They're weird. They make a lot of noise,
Yeah, I heard they're like 100 decibels when they're going crazy, like super loud.
dude. The males making that fucking rubbing their legs together. It's weird. But anyway,
Yeah.
go ahead, Mike. Sorry.
All right. So, first one is you guys think you can get high off of eating them, and how many of them would you have to eat if you could get high from it?
Sounds like a trick question. I don't know anything about getting high. For any government officials out there that might be listening for future employment, I don't know anything about getting high. I don't know anything about how much I'd have to do of anything. I've never even
I'm
heard of this.
I'm sure you can get high, everything in moderation, and it'd probably take like, I don't know, 5 pounds worth of cicadas. Some insane number.
Fucking boil them down.
so, so cicadas get infected with a fungi that essentially
Of
has
course.
a a, like a chemical in it that's similar to ADHD, like the ADHD chemical that you would take if you have ADHD.
So they're like eating Ritalin?
Essentially, well, like that. No, that's what they produce. Like the fungi produce this as a byproduct when they get infected with it. So if you eat 100 infected cicada and you're a 140-pound person, you can get a little high, according to the, some the bug doctor and a couple other people that I was reading on the internet earlier.
An
Um,
etymologist?
Hey, I don't want to cut you guys off, but real quick, we've got a question in chat. We didn't even give any background on cicadas. We got to give a little bit of background, just real quick. We got questions in chat. People don't know what cicadas are.
Oh boy.
We got a lot of ignorant folks out on the West Coast. They just don't get it. They don't know what's going on. But basically, Drew will probably be able to fix this up real quick. What they're basically similar to locusts. They come
Yeah,
every
they're
13 to 17 years, and they lay their eggs in the ground and then come back again. That's it.
yeah, it's basically it. Yeah, they're
Harmless.
like a long, like large or long larval state locust. They don't swarm like locusts do or anything like that, but yeah, they just come out of the ground. They look really nasty. They have like wings. They go up to like the high point of big trees, and they go like at the hottest point of the day, and they just make an insane like crackling sound. It's hard to like explain. You know what it is as soon as you hear it.
Right.
And yeah, that's about it. Like a huge bugs, like they shed their exoskeleton and then die. And you can find the exoskeletons like all over the place, and that's about it.
And they don't destroy any crops or anything. They're not like locusts in that way to where they're destructive. They're like completely benign. They're just like an annoyance.
Basically, yeah.
Um,
And it only lasts a month, and then they
back to the
mate or
facts.
die. Yeah.
Back to the facts.
So
Sorry.
essentially, if you eat 100 infected ones, you can get high from it. But I don't know how you're going to tell if they're infected or not. So you probably just have to eat a bunch and just hope that they're infected.
But like I said, 5 pounds.
Yeah, dude,
Holy
they're
shit.
small. You have to eat a lot. Yeah, that was the big fact that I found that I thought was interesting, because that was when I looked it up. That was like half of what I saw was like, can you get high from eating? It was like, of course, that would be the top like Google searches. Can you get high from this? So wait to see some
Always.
TikTok videos. People are probably gonna try to eat them.
Exactly, dude.
When I was growing up, like on the Midwest, we would find them all the time and like just put them down people's shirts, like the either alive or like the carcasses or the exoskeletons. And people freak out and scream like,
I've probably
ah,
seen them and I don't know it
They're
because
nasty.
I
they're
just looked up a
gross.
picture. I'm sure I've seen them before. I just didn't know what they were at the time.
You've definitely heard them.
Yeah,
I know that.
but yeah, let's go into
But
lab grown meat, bro.
Yeah, I mean, what's your guys' take on the lab grown meat situation? Because I've got a buddy who is currently just he's working on a company producing lab grown meat. I would I would eat it. I don't think it would I honestly think it would probably be indistinguishable from meat. Just the same way that like if they could produce me a new liver from all this fucking bourbon that I drink, I would let them put it in me. You know, it's probably the same thing. You know, what do you guys think?
yeah, I've thought about this question a lot because I don't know, read a few science fiction books that like take place in like the the near future where genetic manipulation and like lab grown meat is just like the way of the land or the law of the land, I guess, or like the way
Right.
of the culture. And I've always thought about like, what that would be like. Like, how weird would it be knowing that like you're just eating like a bucket, say you're eating a bucket of the Colonel's chicken, KFC, everyone's favorite, and like you're just like, this was grown in a lab, but it was literally like indistinguishable from my memory of what chicken used to taste like. Like,
And
well, like, would I be okay with that? Like, just knowing that, or would I just not care, or like, just given the convenience, or like maybe the low cost of what it would cost to. I mean, chicken's pretty cheap now, but like, I don't know, something like steak, and you can get lab grown steak for way cheaper. Like, would that offset like my moral quandary about something like lab grown meat? I don't know. It's really weird. It's really weird to me. I've thought about it a lot, and I ask people all the time this, and they usually say like, well, they're a little bit older, so they usually are like, no, no, wouldn't do it, not for me. So
yeah, and that's the thing. It's like, so we have in chat right now, like imagine the cancer. And it's like, I don't think it would result in that kind of stuff. It's literally indistinguishable because it literally is just amino acid profile, right?
Yeah, and meat
yeah,
is a carcinogen that can cause cancer too.
Anyway,
So yeah, so
right.
you're not
Yeah.
really so that's not really a good argument because meat already is proven to give you cancer. So
But I
I don't
guess
think
what I'm
that's
saying
as
is that like
much.
literally all it is just like it's just a profile that you're matching. That's all
Mhm.
that you artificially build, right? Like there's no difference. Literally zero difference.
It's just a
yeah,
weird thing that people have to get over in a way. Like I think it's like one of those things where you know how you like change a policy or you change a routine or you change like the way you have to do something, and it makes everybody like uncomfortable or weird till it's to the point where no one remembers the old system, like Drew was mentioning. Then it's like that's the normal. Like, and I think that's what it would have to come down to is like it just becomes so available to everybody that it essentially gets phased out due to like price points or availability. And that's probably going to be where it'll take off is once it gets so cheap to manufacture and put out that everybody can try it, everybody has access to it, and then that'll really be where you see if people gravitate to it or not, you know? Because if they can do it way cheaper, think about like McDonald's, you're getting really shitty food for, 99 cents, but if you can have a lab grown plant-based burger that's not that shitty for 98 cents or 95
Not
cents,
plant-based. This is real meat.
real
This
meat.
is the real shit. This is real. This is the real deal.
This isn't like a approximation. It's literally
Yeah.
the same thing, just grown in a lab.
Well, the thing so here's two things that I'll say. So first of all, what I found it really interesting is that I am a connoisseur of all types of meat. And I would love to have different blends of them, right? I'd love to have some strange kangaroo meat mixed with bacon and just see what that tastes like. And that's like a lab grown possibility, right? Like I'd love to
Mhm.
try all that stuff. Um, I think it's really, really hard to get certain types of specialized type of meat, and you can get that lab grown very easily. I think that second, so that's the fun part. Second, this would be more the ethical part, is like, I don't know, man. I've worked around pigs a lot and like I like pigs, dude. They're like dogs. They're real sweet animals, dude. And they're real smart. And so I guess from an ethical perspective, the only way that I would ever go, you're not going to get me to eat bug bacon or something. Like I'm just going to go for the pig. But if you could lab grow it, and scientifically it's completely indistinguishable. I might have the heebie-jeebies a little bit about it, but like I really don't think it's that different at all.
Right? Like
I just don't think
it's
it is.
it's weird to think about, and like you definitely get rid of like the whole cruelty aspect of now
Right.
having like meat to eat. And I wonder if it would just be something like if it's indistinguishable and it's readily available and cheap, would it become like almost as ubiquitous as like or something that seems as ridiculous at first as lab grown meat, to where it's probably off putting to a lot of people when they like if once they actually sit down and they think about it, and then it becomes as ubiquitous as like an iPad, because like or a tablet, like because when the tablets first came out I was like, this is fucking ridiculous. You got a phone, you got a laptop, why the fuck would you need a tablet? Like this is
A
just
big phone.
like a like a fad, yeah, like a fad that's like a weird in between that you don't need. Boy, was I wrong. Did that fucking market blow the fuck up? Like
Right.
to where
That's what I
now it's like
thought.
mandatory. Like from the medical school I'm going to, mandatory. You have to have an iPad to go
Well,
through it.
here's another thing that I've got to bring up. So like what you just said, right? That Hear me out here. This might sound a little crazy, but like in the US, we have a labor problem, right? People are very concerned about illegal immigration. They're very concerned about people stealing jobs. And where are they stealing these jobs? They're stealing jobs, fucking growing watermelons or like working in meat production facilities. Like that's seriously, that's where these jobs are getting taken. So it like completely eliminates that problem. Like
Right,
completely goes away. Like the whole illegal immigration and having very, very cheap labor just evaporates in the meat market overnight if you
right.
move to a lab grown meat, which I also find somewhat interesting as well. Like I think that that's a compelling argument for it as well. I don't know. I'm not sure. I think I've been around those facilities. I would never work in those facilities. Um, I mean, I would work in those. I don't want to sound like a bubbit. I would work in those facilities, but like in my current stature right now, like where I don't have to work in that facility, I would never choose to. The slaughterhouses are, they're rough places, man. So I don't know. I there's just a lot that I've been thinking about with the lab grown stuff that I think is has a lot of legs, man. It has a lot of legs and it could solve a lot of problems. It's just a matter of whether or not this really is the real deal, or is this just fucking another bug meat replacement that's getting fucking sprung on you? I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm not
I think
sure.
it
The jury's out.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see with the lab grown meat too. With like you kind of were mentioning with like, can they combine stuff, make some new interesting combinations, or like when are you gonna get like different varieties, or like see how far they can expand it into like then it comes to
Dude.
where it's like, well, they finally dropped the lab grown meat stigma, like, and then that's where I think it'll kind of just blend into the society. Like, people won't think about it as lab grown anymore. They'll just think about it as like, you know, it is what it is. It's just another different style of meat. You can have your
Well,
almost like how you have your
if the
free range and your farm grown. Now you have your lab or your farm.
exactly. And I think the big thing is like if people really want to make a environmental change, that's just a smarter way to do it. Just like why are you putting yourself through like all these vegans out here? Like, why are you putting yourself through that? Just eat regular meat. Just lab grow it. It,
Right.
it literally is grown like the process is it's exactly the same as if you were to like birth a cow, except all you do is birth the best part that you want using its
Right.
DNA, using tissue, like you just birth the best part. So like if
Right.
you like Wagyu beef, you just get nothing but Wagyu beef grown for you, perfect, marbled, exactly the way you like it. Right? Like I
Right.
don't know,
Exactly.
it sounds good to me.
Where do you think where's the carcinogens coming into this process? It's literally
Right.
you're plucking like, I don't know, a chunk of like ground beef off of a living or a dead cow. You put it in a petri dish and you go, okay, well, how can I get these cells to where they reproduce on their own? That's what they're trying to figure out. And and to clear up or clean up a little bit, meat does not cause cancer. Charred meat or
Yeah,
meat that
okay,
is
fair
fortified
enough.
with
True,
nitrites
true,
Alright.
are what
true.
cause cancer. Meat itself does
Alright.
not cause cancer.
Don't get your
Drew's
meat
putting
well
his
done.
Drew's putting his dick on the table. We get it.
Well,
Don't char it up. Don't barbecue. Don't barbecue.
that
We get
well,
it.
see, look, you gave the vegans the rope. Yeah, exactly. Meat
Yeah.
causes cancer.
Prove their point.
No, yeah. I don't know, man. I think it's a really interesting question. I thought it was like a really fun topic to explore. We don't got to beat a dead horse. We can move on, jump into something new. But like, I think it's something for us all to think about when it comes to as it's coming. It's coming for sure, man. Like within the next couple
What
of years, you're gonna
what's
see
your
it
what's your buddy say?
proliferate.
You got any inside information? What's he think?
I mean, so my buddy for background is used to be a scientist. He was a neuroscientist, and then started working in private equity and finance and like investment banking, then private equity. And now he's going back to science. And he's an incredibly smart guy. And I think his view is that this is part of the future. His view is that like why have a bunch of farmers that are subsidized by the United States who just sit there and raise cattle and then send them off to their death? Why not have a bunch of farmers that are subsidized from the United States to just collect a tissue sample? Done for top dollar. And then you have other companies that produce this stuff and can proliferate it throughout the whole world. And you can feed entire populations off single tissue samples. As you kind of, you know, I don't know the exact science on how it's done. Um, and he's also given me the idea that I brought up earlier today about different kinds of meats and like how you can get real weird with it and make it real fun for everybody. Like, I don't know, I'm a big jerky guy. I would try a turkey chicken jerky. I would try all types of different fucking jerkies. I would try anything. You like grow it out. I'll fucking eat that shit. It's all the same, right? I mean, shit. It's like I shot it and then pulled it out. Like, and that's the thing. I guess what I just said too with the shooting it is part of my problem with the people that are against lab grown meat is like you don't shoot your animals anyway. You do for all intents and purposes get your meat from a lab. You go to a
Mhm.
supermarket and you buy meat that probably is really gross. I mean, we've all seen what happens to chopped meat. We've seen it bleached. We've seen it fucking all this weird shit that happens to chopped meat. Um, you're buying that shit and you're making your burgers with it. Stop being a weirdo, man. Like, come on. You're not fucking killing your food. You're just a dude who goes to the supermarket and probably like gets grossed out when a little bit of blood from the bottom of the chopped meat package gets on your fingers. Like, grow up, dude. You know?
Yeah, you're not buying your meat from the butcher or whatever. You're going and buying the prepackaged or the frozen shit at the grocery store. You know,
Right.
yeah.
So But yeah, we don't have to beat a dead horse on it. I thought it was real interesting. I hope everybody thought it was good talk. But there's a lot of other great things that are going on. And like I said, we're going to do a shorter episode. So we've got a ton of shit to get into. So where should we start? I don't know. I'm going to
Oh,
start here.
Alaska,
I'm going
man.
to take it. Oh, you want to go to, okay. Mike called it. We're going Dick Pernecki. Dick Pernecki. Mike, give us some background. Talk to us.
This dude Dick Pernecki is a legend, bro. There's a documentary out. What's the name of the documentary, Rob? You remember off the top of your head?
Alone in the Wilderness.
Alone in the Wilderness. And it's like an hour long. And this guy literally is like, I think he's 51 when he goes up to Alaska, and he's had experience there before. It's not his first time there, like, but he's never like lived there like throughout the all the seasons and endured everything. And he goes out there, builds an entire badass cabin by hand. Literally just brings in the bare, like he brings in a saw. He doesn't even bring in all his tools. He crafts handles for all his tools because it's like too much weight. Like he goes as minimalistic as possible. He has somebody bring in like crops to grow a farm. He has a couple saws, but he fashions everything out, and he makes an entire log cabin, gets all the moss for the roof, and then goes there to live there for a year, and then stays there for 35 years. Ends up leaving when he's 85 because minus 50-degree winters were too much for him at 85, bro. And you watch the video, and like in order to survive in that climate, like he's up every day, like has to clear his path to the lake to get water. He has to dig like I think it was like 20 inches of ice, like, and it
Oh,
freezes
dude, it's
overnight every
real
day.
crazy.
So every day he's got to go out there and break through the lake to get fresh water. He has to kill like in the video he's like he kills one sheep, and he takes all the meat and he uses it for the entire winter and his vegetables. And it's crazy how he's also a master carpentersman. Like that is obviously one of those things.
Carpenter.
Carpenter. Like that's obviously one of his biggest strengths to be able to do this, because like his ability to make things out of like just literally chop down a tree and turn it into whatever is incredible. Um,
Well, we got some Mike, that was an incredible background. Thank you. We've got some stuff in chat talking about but why? But why? Why would you ask why? Like this
yeah,
is
that's
what do
weird.
you mean? Like it's incredible, dude. Like I mean, if you look at this landscape, it is insane what this guy was living in. I mean, I get it, dude. Like he didn't have a partner, right? So like no lady folk. That would be tough. It'd be tough for me to go 30 years without a woman around. I'm not gonna lie. I'm a man of the flesh. It'd be very difficult for me. But other than that, man, I mean, Jesus, man, he builds this thing with his hands. It's and one thing, Mike, just to add to Mike's background, basically, no one knew that he had made. It's not like someone filmed him doing this. He had literally like 35 millimeter film that he was filming himself, building this stuff from the time that he got out there, just as his own documents. And after he had vacated the cabin and died or whatever, they found the film. It became like an Alaskan archive national treasure, and they made the documentary for it. So it's like this guy was the real deal. He was not trying to share this with anyone but himself. He was literally there to document like an excursion into the wilderness. And in my opinion, he went back 1,000+ years in time. He did. He literally went back 1,000 years in time. He just went by himself to the woods to catch fish and to build shit with his hands and to have hard winters, and live his life, dude. I think it's
That's
fucking awesome.
that's another good point. That his filmmaking and like his note taking, because like there's
Crazy.
one like 2 sentence thing in the entire documentary that said like somebody goes on and is like, this is all his footage. He did all of this. Like this was all like they literally just took all his footage and clipped it together to make this documentary. Like they did like, and there's one segment that's not him talking. Like he talks through the whole thing and narrates the entire thing himself as he's doing
Right.
it and writing the notes. Like this isn't something that like like you hear somebody else's voice narrating his actions. Like he narrates and explains why he's doing everything, especially when he's building his cabin, like how big the cabin is, when he puts in his like how he does every single step. Like it's like it's crazy that he would like literally just for prosperity, like he wasn't trying to like obviously because he died with it still secret. He wasn't trying to
Yeah.
like when he came back at 85. He didn't like hey, this is what I've been doing for 35 years. You know, it was one of
He
those
would
things that
like, dude, it was classic shit to where he would like wait for his mail to get dropped to him. And he was like pumped about it. Like it's mail day,
Jesus.
and the mail would get fucking dropped out of a fucking hell or out of an airplane. It's dude, it is an incredible documentary about a very incredible man. Dick Pernicki, Alone in the Wilderness. Look it up on BitChute. They did it. BitChute is just gonna be the easiest way to get it for free. Don't tell anybody I told you about that. You could buy it if you'd like to, I don't know, contribute to like Alaska for whatever reason, whatever. And basically, they did a second part as well with like lost tapes of the footage. And so you can find that as well. But yeah, I mean, just absolute, I mean, literally bare hands, wood, builds a log cabin from the ground up, prepares for winter. And like you said, Mike, literally digs himself out to where the snow is like higher than his head. And he's literally building a path out to go, get work done, you know? It's fucking beast mode, man.
He's got to shovel his roof so it doesn't
Dude,
collapse.
it's nuts. It's really nuts. And the cabin's still standing. You can literally go and YouTube it right now. People stay there. The cabin is still standing. It is a solid piece of gear, dude. It has stood for many, many years.
That's
So,
the it's a Alaska because it's a part of the Alaska like national park thing. Is like it's gonna be there forever. You know, it's a
yep.
sacred thing. Like when he left at the end of the documentary, they're like he was able to come back whenever, and they're gonna literally just keep it there as a tribute to him forever. Like just his homestead. Like went up there, found a piece of land he liked at the Twin Rivers or Twin Lakes I think. Is that what it was?
I don't remember what the name of the lake was.
It was something like that. But yeah, he just found somewhere he liked
But
and just posted up and just was, you know, I think at the
I mean,
beginning of the
yeah.
documentary, he talks about it as like a challenge. Like, can I make it through the winter? Like, I think it was like it's supposed to be like a year thing, and he just stayed. So
Well, dude, that's what I love about it is like it makes me feel like such a bitch. It's like a lot of the stuff I read is like, I've told you guys a million times, we talked about it on the podcast. I read a lot of like Anglo-Saxon stuff, whatever. And they don't measure their life in years. They measure their life in winters, which is kind of like it's kind of yeah, I know it sounds probably cheesy to people that might be listening and never actually wintered over anywhere and never actually endured a winter. But dude, like if you endure a winter to that degree where you're literally living on hot coals, bro, and you're fucking cooking your food based on your own ability to catch it in a rare environment and cook it in an even more rare and very wet environment. I mean, dude, the winter is the hardest fucking time that you could be alive, dude. And in Alaska, the winter's long and it's hard, dude. It's
Yeah.
real
bro,
long and it's
it's
real hard.
bad.
So kudos to that
Dude.
man, bro. And he should be measured in his winters as well, dude, because that is intense.
Dude,
I
going out
like
there at
Excellent
51
documentary.
and doing that too. Jeez.
To me, it's the American dream. That's the American dream, dude. And also just for everybody listening, if you move to Alaska and you become a resident of Alaska, they'll pay you. They pay you the all oil dividends. Every resident of Alaska gets paid.
Yep.
So, but yeah, there are bears there. There are bears there. We just got some bear chat
Yeah,
stuff.
he has pictures of
There's
bears
bears.
and cubs. Like he has
Yeah,
a lot of
he
video
sh- he,
footage.
he
There's
hunts his
bears
own
and
food too out
wolves.
there.
There's
There's
wolves up there
everything, man.
too.
Yep.
Everything. But it's an incredible documentary. Once again, Dick Pernicki, Alone in the Wilderness. You can find it for free on BitChute. If you'd like to pay, go to the Alaskan.gov website, pay for it there. I think all the money probably goes to his family or towards the cabin, maintaining it. But yeah,
You wanna feel like a
incredible.
bitch, just watch this video of what you can't do
Right.
and how much of a man
Right.
you're not. Just watch this video,
That's
bro.
it, dude.
Because
That
I
is
would
it.
love to have those skills. Because that dude is a legend, bro.
One of the last mountain men, probably.
Carving a cabin
Real.
with hand tools is just insanity.
Dude. And how like not even a cabin, like he put up like windowsills and like made like
Everything.
sawhorses. Like he
Everything.
made his whole workbench and everything. Like came out there with some saws, crafted his own sawhorses, crafted his own bowls, his own spoons, his own like made shit out of tin for his pots and pans, like everything.
Well, that's the
He
thing
had a
is
hand.
he crammed 2 lifetimes into one because
Yep.
he
Yeah.
basically became a master
That's it.
carpenter and then was like, well, now it's time to do what I really want to do.
Yeah.
That's the real deal, man. I think there's no better way to go out, dude. I hope maybe I can follow in Dick Pernicki's fucking footsteps. We'll see.
Yeah, I
But
just think about when he came back at 85, bro. Like, how long did he live? Because imagine coming back to
a
civilization after
tough old
having that.
motherfucker.
Like, I must have. He couldn't have unless like he was just enjoying it to maybe see family or something. But if he liked it out there that long for 35 years, coming
I couldn't
back
do it.
couldn't have been
No
good.
booze. I
No, you
couldn't do
just
it.
make it still,
I
bro.
need. That's real hard. That's so hard. And then the winter, that's super
And the
duper
winter,
hard,
oh
dude.
yeah, it's too
You
much in
just
the
gotta
winter.
stock it, bro.
It's already
That's
hard
the
enough
rule.
taking care of the
Yeah.
essentials, like just to keep
I-
you alive. Like you don't have
I'd work all summer, and then in the winter, I'd have no food and just booze. I'd be like, shit.
Yeah.
Staying warm with moonshine. Forget to build your chimney for your fireplace.
That's probably
That's
why
it.
like nomadic people drank like mare's milk or something like that, like fermented mare's milk because of like it was easy to make.
That's what I'm saying, dude. Like, I think it's probably the same. They discovered it by accident, pretty much with all these ancient cultures. I think it was just it was a goof. They just kind of like left some shit for too long, and they're like, "Well, this is weird." Somebody drank it because they were weird enough to do so. They were lab grown meat people of their day, and they're like, "Bro, this shit's real good. We got to make more of this. What did we do?"
I know it killed the first 4 guys, but I'm feeling pretty good right now.
I'm the man. But dude, we're cutting short on time. So any, do you guys have anything that you want to hit before we close out?
Dude, I want to give a shout out to my man who got his fucking NFL dreams cut short by the long dick of
I
the
All right, that's
Navy.
love
where we're
it, bro.
going.
You
That's
got
where we're
needs of the
going.
Navy, bro, to the ultimate
That's it.
extreme. I
It's
wonder
made my
what's his
week.
job in the Navy.
It's made my week. It's probably something shitty. It's probably nothing good.
But why is needs of
Um,
the Navy? Because it's something shitty. So they're like,
who wants to
we
give the
need somebody to do
background?
that.
Who wants to give the background? You guys want me to do it?
I
Yeah.
don't know that much
All right,
about it.
I'll throw it down. All right, here we go. So we got a guy. So all of us, we were in the Navy. We know how it feels. Navy's got a dick this big. We've all had it inside of us, for lack of better terms. And so basically, there's some news that has come out. I find it very kind of funny as well because, and I'll tell you why. Basically, this fella went to Annapolis, incredible school. It's a Naval Academy. They'll produce your naval and your Marine Corps officers. And so when you go to Annapolis, you go to basically kind of like a boot camp, and you go to what's called fork and knife school, where you kind of learn to be an officer, and you accept a commitment. So like for instance, like when I went to jump school, I had like a shitload of fucking I don't even know what they call them at in Annapolis. They call them midshipmen. I don't know what they call them at West Point, but I had a bunch of West Pointers who were at jump school like on their summer vacation, right? Like, so these people are already in the military. You have signed a commitment. You are serving the United States government when you go to these schools. Taxpayers fund your education. It's like a big deal. And so this fella was going to Annapolis. He was a midshipman. And so typically, midshipmen in their summers will go to a ship, or they'll go to a Marine Corps unit, and they will decide whether or not they want to be a Marine Corps officer, or whether they want to be a line officer in the Navy, or a sub officer, or whatever it may be, but do something as an officer for the naval forces, Navy and Marine Corps. And basically, this poor son of a bitch got a free agent contract with the Tampa Bay Bucks, and his name is Cameron Kinley, Annapolis grad, just graduated. Kamala Harris sitting in the fucking front row of his graduation. He applies and says, "Hey, I'd like a deferral of my service because I've got this seat with the Tampa Bay Bucks." And the Navy said, "Fuck you. You're coming to the United States Navy, and you're going to be a naval officer." And honestly, dude, it's the belle of the ball for me, man. It's the best part of the
The light
year
of
for
your
me.
life.
It is the light of my life, dude, because honestly, dude, that seriously, like, I'm serious, man, like, that is something you don't see anymore, man. You see too many exceptions, you see too much of this shit, right? It's like, you knew what you signed up for. If you wanted to fucking be in the NFL, you shoulda went to a different college, and that's not me being the fatso like I was talking about on the last podcast, making fun of the guy in the Olympics, right? That is just reality, bro, like, you signed up to do something, and you're trying to renege because you got a better deal. It doesn't work like that, you know? And what really makes it really funny to me is Donald Trump decided back in the day in 2019 that and he directed the Pentagon. He said, "You guys need to figure this out. You need to figure out athletes that are trying to go into professional sports through a military academy. You got to figure it out." And as his presidency ended, so too did the recourse, I guess you'd say, that you would get at an academy like this to pursue professional sports. And I just find it like hilarious. It's just the whole thing is just very hilarious to me. He's going to be just the saltiest, bitterest officer ever. He's going to make so many people's lives just fucking miserable. And, it's good. It really makes me feel good because that's what the military does, man. They're soul crushers, you know?
Dude, if you got into Annapolis and you're good enough to like you're that good, you could have got like Annapolis is a hard school to get into. And if you're that good at football,
So hard.
you could have got into any other college, any other D1 or D2 college
So hard.
just off of your academic alone because Annapolis isn't recruiting you for football. Last I checked. I don't think they really recruit hard for your sports, you know?
Navy football is garbage. They
Yeah.
lose to Army like every
So,
fucking goddamn year.
yeah. So, like, if
Yeah,
you're,
go Navy.
like,
Lose every
so
fucking
you
year.
just maybe got lucky, but because I was thinking when I saw it, I agree with you, Rob, 100% that I love it because, bro, you sign the dotted line. Now you know better, bro. Don't sign those dotted lines anymore. But you gotta help. You can't get like you can't just get out of it because you got a better deal. Like do your time and then go pursue. You literally can do 3 years or 4 years. You're an officer. You can literally probably spend your time trying to get out early and probably get it if you want. But I definitely agree with you that, bro, you can't just be like, oh, I signed up for this and I got 4 years of school on the taxpayer's dime and then I'm gonna go play football. No, bro. You should have gone to another school and played football somewhere else because obviously you could have got in there if you wanted to, but you obviously were pursuing a different goal at the time or something.
Yeah. So he walked, or he was a free agent signing, like he wasn't drafted or anything.
Free
Think it
agent.
would,
Yeah, free agent for the Tampa Bay Bucks.
think it would have been worse if he would have been drafted.
Well, the thing is that there have been other people who have gotten this, right? I
Hmm.
can't name the guy, but there was a guy a year before him, or not a year before, but years before him. Apologize. He's played several seasons with the Miami Dolphins, and he had a deferral from his service. I'm not sure how these decisions are made. I just think exactly like Mike said, it's like, look, dude, when you make the conscious decision to go to Annapolis or to West Point or to the Citadel or to any of these military academies, you literally are making a decision to be in the US Armed Forces. You, you're putting that above all else, including your own life. And I'm not trying to be cheesy with that. Like, dude, I mean, how many guys do you think that went to West Point that over the past 20 years that went through a West Point class, came out of West Point, jumped into the 82nd Airborne, and then fucking died in Afghanistan or fucking died in Iraq immediately? 25 years old, fucking dead. It's like
First lieutenants in Vietnam.
it's a fucking real thing, dude. Like it's the real deal. Like these guys, they're not asking you to come to Annapolis so you could serve your country down the road when it's convenient for you. Like the second you get there, you are indoctrinated into the United States military. You are starting to get paid as a service member. You wear the uniform. Yeah, it's like I'm glad to see that it's not a joke. I'm glad to see that it's not a joke. I'm glad to see that somebody has to answer for raising their hand. He
Right.
raised his hand, you know, and he didn't raise his hand to play football. And if he did raise his hand to play football, then good. Send him to a fucking ship, have him fucking work his dick off for 5 years, and then let's see how good he is at football. That's it. You know what I mean?
Well,
Like, you
it's
did not
also
fucking go to Annapolis to play football, dude. You didn't.
well, like in like the Navy aspect or the military aspect, why would you want to have him come back at 30 or 32, 35 years old? You think he's gonna have he's gonna like you defer it for a couple years, where he quits the NFL and then
Course
comes
not.
back?
Stupid.
No, it's just an extension of deferrals until it just gets canceled. It's like the military
Dude,
wants
literally,
young people, you know?
the only value is a recruitment value. And so, like,
Right.
you know, a guy like him is trying to say, like, look, give me a deferral and make me a recruitment tool. And it's like, you know what, bro? Like, honestly, I don't want to get recruited to the United States military out of the fucking NFL, dude. No thanks. I see people taking knees. I'm good. You know what I mean? Like, I'll fucking I'll get recruited many other ways besides some dude deferring his fucking God-given service that he fucking swore to do. He literally took an oath and swore to do it. And he's like, "Oh, well, the NFL came up, you know, those oaths or whatever, they're not that big of a deal, right?" Like, come on, dude. It's a simple case. Simple case. And I'm glad he's getting fucked. And I hope he continues to get fucked. And I hope he goes to the Navy and learns a lesson and realizes, you know, maybe one day, that's the best thing that ever happened to him. It's the best thing that ever happened to him. Maybe went to the NFL, played 2 seasons, made fucking, you know, 500,000, 600,000, maybe a couple million, whatever it is. And then at the end of the day, would have just been, you know, yesterday's news, right? He's a free agent for the Tampa Bay Bucks. He's not gonna be the next fucking quarterback of the Patriots. So hopefully he goes and learns a good lesson, dude. Like we
I
all
think
did.
I think it also sets a bad precedent too. Like if he's a recruitment tool for getting deferred for going to Annapolis, it's like, well, who is he going to recruit?
Terrible.
Other people that want to do the same thing, because you recruit likes, right? Like he's not going to be recruiting people that are like, hey, I really like this guy. I want to go to Annapolis, but you know, if I get the opportunity to go to the NFL, I'm not going to do it.
Right.
Like that seems like a horrible strategy, you know?
Yeah. I don't know. What do you got, Drewski? Anything else? We're out of time. We're a couple minutes over. What do you got, Drew? Hit us.
Nothing. Nothing. Just
Nothing.
no.
You don't hope he yells, "Thank God I went to college in Afghan" or anything like
Yeah.
that? Nothing?
Right.
I
Damn.
He's
hope
like, I'm
I
glad I
hope
went to
his
college.
You're a friendly guy. You're a
I
friendly
hope
guy.
his ship sinks and he's the only one that survives and he goes, I fucking should have stayed in college.
That's it. I think that's a perfect way to end.
Yep.
Everybody, thanks for joining us. I think it was a great new structure to our podcast. We love talking about eating bugs. We love talking about getting screwed by the Navy because fuck that guy. You know what, Cameron Kinley? I apologize. You had fucking, you know, you had Kamala Harris at your graduation. Nobody came to my graduation, so good luck,
Hey,
bud. Have fun in
congratulations!
the Navy.
Your first day in the Navy is gonna be like everybody else's third year. You just got an early start getting fucked. You're gonna have the best sea story of being fucked in the Navy, and no one's gonna be
That's
able to
it.
beat you. When you're at the bars, you're drinking, you're on your ship for 100-something days without seeing land. They're gonna and you're sitting around. You're like, yeah, well, I could be making a lot more money playing the NFL right now, but I'm out here in the
You,
middle of the ocean,
That
you're gonna be
fucking
the
doing
guy they
nothing.
bring other people to, be like, listen to this guy's story, how
Yeah,
he got screwed over.
you think you got it bad? Yep.
yeah, exactly.
All right, everybody. We will catch you next week. Have a great weekend.
Peace.
See you later, you filthy animals.